So let's dive into a second interview, which took a very different tact. But I want to open up with this clip first, because this is why things are going very badly for the Democrats. Check this out.
The difference between being kind, and to me, my faith is one thing is being nice to people from different lands, but they also have to be respectful of our laws. And everybody wants to come to the United States because we have a great economy, have a lot of opportunity, but there's a process to do that. My family has been here since at least the 1700s. There's no one that's gave us a free $1,400 debit card. No one gave us a free apartment. No one gave us anything free. We had to work for it. So there is a process. And if we respect all people, that means that the people that come here need to respect our laws. And that's all that we're saying. We allowed 20 million immigrants in here legally since 2000. How much is too much, and how much are we going to put the burden on the taxpayers, because the money has to come from somewhere? Yeah. It's just common sense.
100%. So here you've got regular Americans who understand the fact that these criminal illegal aliens have gotten all sorts of government bennies that they shouldn't have gotten, and they need to be out of the country. Now, with that as a backdrop, let's dive into Kristen Welker. Now, talk about a softball interview. Kristen Welker normally just panders to Democrats. And as softball as the interview was, Gavin Newsom, in a Bizarro World interview, you got to hear some of his answers. It's just absolutely crazy what he comes up with. Check this out. This first one, I think, sets the tone for the rest of the interview, because he absolutely commits what he says he hates. Check this out.
In response to someone talked about it, and I hate when nothing I dislike more than the politician that sits there and lies to you. And we all just sit there rolling our eyes going, give me a break.
And we are all sitting, rolling our eyes right now, because that's you. You are the man. In the words of 2 Samuel, when the prophet Samuel showed up to David and told the whole story about the poor man with one little ewe lamb, and the rich man who had a whole flocks and herds of lambs, and a visitor showed up, and the rich man said, yeah, I don't want to take one of mine. I'm going to take this other guy's little ewe lamb, and I'm going to slaughter that for the feast. And when David was presented with that story, he said, hey, as God is my witness, that man shall die. You are that man, Newsom. The one you say, I just hate it when they cock their head like a snake and lie. That's you. Newsom is the ultimate liar. The problem is he's very, very good at it. He's a very good liar. He can do it. He's a psychopath. He's a sociopath. I don't think he has a moral compass. I think he will lie about anything. All right, let's keep going.
Give me a break. So as it relates to that, there's nothing on the right. I'm focused on Prop 50. I'm focusing on fair and free elections. And to the extent...
The question was, are you running for president?
Fate, the future, there's an alignment. You have a big enough why. You have a what and a how. You meet a moment, and that moment presents itself in a year and a half. We'll see what happens.
In other words, I'm running for president. This is all about running for president. That's why I shut down my little podcast where I had long form discussions with people like Charlie Kirk and others, because they were showing me to be a fool. And in order to have that discussion and sound intelligent, I had to essentially renege on all the policies that I've been promoting in California since I've been governor. Men and women's bathrooms, men and women's sports, basically complete socialism, all of the nonsense. And he's been showing off. What he's figured out is by manifesting his extreme TDS, he gets more views on social media. And he's figuring that his path to the presidency is how big a presence can he build on social media, specifically the leftist ecosphere. All right, so we got that. Now let's dive in, because he talks about working with President Trump. And I thought this was classic because essentially he says, right up until the time the president showed me to be a fool and deployed the National Guard, I talked to him all the time. As long as I thought I could get a photo op, I would talk to him. But once push came to shove and the president basically said California is a lost cause, I don't talk to him anymore. First, let's get into this clip. This clip is the where he talks about Joe Biden and the fact that he thought he was mentally competent. Here we go.
Even when top Democrats were calling for him to step down. Did you ever have concerns, Governor, about his capacity
I go home
to
with
serve another 4 years?
No, I never had that direct. I just talked to...
Never had that concern. Realize the clip he just talked about was, I hate it when people cock their head and look at you and lie. And here he is doing the exact same thing. Either you are the most incompetent boob in the world, that you could not see that Joe Biden was mentally diminished. This is absolute nuts.
The president a few hours ago. I've been privileged to have a relationship with the president.
Governor, did you legitimately believe that he was capable of serving as president until January of 2029?
Yeah, I think my focus was frankly situational. It was making sure Donald Trump didn't get back into office to experience everything that we're experiencing today. And there was no interaction I had that suggested otherwise.
What do you say to Americans who feel misled by you and other top
misled in what
Democrats
respect? He decided to step
about the
down.
mental acuity of President Biden, that they wish you'd sounded the alarm sooner to give way for
I never
an
experienced.
open
Look,
convention?
I'm not going to substitute myself for someone else or for popular opinion. I'm going to express my relationship to my truth with the former president of the United States.
And there's the key right there. My relationship with my truth, even though the actual truth is Joe Biden was essentially a mental vegetable. Joe Biden couldn't walk off a stage. Joe Biden talked to dead people during press conferences. Joe Biden was completely and utterly mentally diminished, which is a shame because he never should have been in the office in the first place. They should have 25th Amendment as soon as they figured that out, but they didn't. So we were stuck with a president who wasn't president, a presidency that was basically run by a bunch of unelected bureaucrat staffers and an auto pen. And here you've got Gavin Newsom, who literally said he hates when people lie, is now lying bold-faced to your face. He is sitting here saying, my truth is that Joe Biden was mentally competent and totally up for the job. And my truth is essentially a fabrication. And I'm only saying this because I want to be elected president. And I don't want to throw Joe Biden under the bus because that throws me under the bus. But at the same time, I'm also trying to garner enough social media presence that I can be the nominee in 28. He is a slick, two-faced liar. That is exactly who Gavin Newsom is. All right, let's keep going.
Including at the end of his term, quite literally, in December, which was a masterclass of foreign policy and domestic policy, which I will never forget as we walk through not just the election, but we're walking through the world we're living in. There was nothing to suggest what you just said or others have suggested in terms of my interaction. That's all I can be accountable for.
Wow. Bizarre. This whole interview is bizarro world. I hate liars. Let me lie to your face about what every single person in America knows now to be true, that Joe Biden was mentally diminished. Everybody knows it. They can just go back and watch the videos and realize he can't walk off a stage. He talks to dead people. He slurs his speech. He walks the shuffle like somebody who has Alzheimer's or something similar. Everybody knows it. You've even got, Jake Tapper out there. You've got other people other than ridiculous Kareem Jean-Pierre saying the same thing. Yes, Joe Biden was absolutely mentally compromised. And here you've got Gavin Newsom trying once again to lie to the American people. Now let's talk about his interactions with President Trump and how he basically is lying to you again. This is bizarro world. Here we go.
They're giving up on working
No,
with President Trump.
I've always have an open hand, not a closed fist. I revere the institution of the president. I revere that office. I'll pick up the phone if he called in a nanosecond. I will. I'll work with anyone that wants to work in a constructive manner. That's why I went out to the tarmac, as you refer. That's why I went to the White House and the Oval Office. I think I was the first Democratic governor to do that.
That was to get a photo op. In my opinion, that was 100% to get a photo op because you wanted to make it look like you were willing to work with the president until it came to actual policy and push come to shove.
That's why I worked with this president in Trump 1.0 as it relates to COVID as well or better than most Democratic governors. I don't seek to put sand in his gears, but I do seek to stand tall on principle and push back against overreach and against an assault on institutions and people that are feeling fearful, communities that are on edge. And I represent a state, the most diverse state in the world's most diverse democracy. And there's no state that's been more impacted by his assault, racially profiling people, going out streets, literally disappearing people that are walking their dogs or going to school.
When's the last time you spoke with President
It's been a few months.
What was that
It was after he
conversation?
federalized the National Guard.
Ding, 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 ding. He has not spoken to the president since the president basically called his bluff and says California is not a democracy. It's a communist tyranny. It's one-party state. It's complete rule by the ultra-leftist Democrats. They have completely destroyed California. They destroyed its economy. California, the state budget is $20 billion underwater every year because of illegal criminal migrants. You've got the resurgence of diseases like measles and typhoid in cities like Los Angeles because of illegal criminal migrants, and the rampant crime problem and homelessness problem that you have in the state. And as soon as Trump said, push comes to shove, and I said, no, I'm sending the National Guard and we're getting these criminal illegal aliens out, Gavin Newsom hasn't talked to him. Up until then, he was more than willing to do photo ops and pretend like he was working with the president. When the president showed up and basically tried to help him with the wildfires in Palisades, realize they haven't built back any of those houses, virtually none of them in Pacific Palisades, because you can't get a permit. Because now Gavin Newsom is involved there and he's involved in Malibu, essentially making it impossible for people to rebuild because of the cost, forcing them to sell to big time developers who are more, I can almost guarantee you, almost getting Gavin Newsom and other government officials a kickback to go buy those properties where they can put up condos, commercial hotels, you name it. It's absolutely egregious. Let me know what you think in the comments. I really appreciate everybody rolling up. Thanks so much today. I hope you love the show. Gavin Newsom enters into bizarro world, or I don't even know half the time what he's trying to talk about when he answers, but he wants to run for president, but doesn't want to say he's running for president. And all he wants to do is garner social media clicks because he thinks that's his way to beat Kamala Harris or Jasmine Crockett, or whoever else might throw their hat in the ring. And he is the most accomplished. He is scary because he is the most accomplished liar on the Democrat ticket, on the Democrat side of things. He can lie with the best of them because he is a sociopath. And that's what we have to be careful of. Hey, I really appreciate everybody rolling up. Thanks so much for being here. Please smash that like button, subscribe, turn on the notifications for me. If you like the content, please share a Courageous Media with everybody that you know. And if you're also willing, please join us as a member of the Courageous Army on YouTube or Patreon. Thanks so much for being here. Remember, God is good and he is sovereign. It'll all be good in the end. Till I catch you next time.